Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, it's not evening, is it? It's 5 o'clock in the morning. What am I talking about? But yeah, this is the New Age Retro Age, and I couldn't sleep. I been up all night after working. I was up a little late. I should have probably gotten to bed sooner. But yeah, this is What Remains of Edith Finch, a walking sim, which I'm not exactly a huge proponent of as a genre, because I think a lot of times they're low effort and they expect just be praised for being for telling a story. But there have been a few good ones. Forever Gone Home or Everyone's Gone to Rapture. There is something like what's it called? It's a really good one. God, I forgot the name. It's one where you're Stanley Parable. That was excellent. That was funny. Actually did something interesting. So let's get started, I suppose. Or are you looking at this book? So flip the pages.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
I still wish I could figure out why my PS5 shows looks like it's sepia. Kind of washes out the old green of the
lived here until I was
vividness
11,
of it all.
but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms. Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago.
7 years ago, and they still look like
that.
that.
Immediately. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
You have a choice. You can go down this road, or you can wander through this forest path. I played a little bit and decided, oh, I like the aesthetic of it all, so play it when
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Man, I wish I could figure out why it does. Why
the woods around the house have always been
PS5 does
uncomfortably
this.
silent.
Is doing this.
As if they're about to say
I don't think my
something
PS4
that
had this
never
problem,
do.
so. Only problem I can kind of see is the pace. It's kind of a big problem with walking sims that they have an intensely slow pace. Let me see what's up this way. I mean, I don't mind the slow pace. It's just, ooh, a deer, a buck. How could you drive on this?
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
I mean, you'd have to drive like ultra slow to navigate this drive. All right, I guess go back the way it came. You know, there's no way you could drive this, is there? I mean, just turning around, you couldn't even drive up it. You couldn't even turn around. It's an interesting looking house design.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
An old truck. Giant fish head. See, I didn't check all this stuff over here. Are they supposed to be a dragon or something like that?
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't. Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Fairly undusty looking house, considering it's been abandoned for 7 years. In fact, it's maintained. It's not fallen apart, considering it looks like it's not exactly built on a solid frame. How do you get in this? Seriously, you have to drive so slow to get through here, and even then, it'd probably be almost impossible. Oh.
The house felt like it had always been here. Even the swing set was older than my mother.
That's interesting. Just going through the doggy door.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Things like that usually are.
The power had been turned off the night we left. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
7 years between this and this. It doesn't look particularly all that, you know.
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
I need ice.
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot. Or how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Cat would get sick of it.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
I think they're saying that her mom was looking to put Grandma Edie in a nursing home, and the only one who really seemed to be okay with it.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
It's a clusterfuck of a house, that's for damn sure.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house. Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't
I'm
too
guessing
surprised.
we'd probably go
when
into that
the key
basement
didn't
pretty
fit.
soon, at some point in the game.
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
Yeah, a whole bunch of books.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive. Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Sealed shut.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes. Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Why?
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it. Edie's father, Odin, built the original house. The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait. As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
That doesn't make any sense.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Ugh.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
You see something. So, Grandma was... Whoops, don't want to do that. $50. 93. I guess a baby. 11. And Barbara was only like 26 when she died, so I guess she wouldn't even know. The place has got a lot of interesting little details.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Yeah, I don't know, how'd you get in anywhere in here if there's every... Okay. Milton went missing. Who's Milton? Is he her brother? Her brother, as in my player character's brother? Or... I'm kind of confused by who... Hey, my birthday was on a Saturday that year. I turned 28. I don't know why I'm backtracking through the house, but I'm curious about something. I'm guessing that's her brother. Milton, the one that went missing? I guess, yes. Must have went missing before she was born, or when she was very, very little.
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
If she was old enough to remember the doors being always sealed with peepholes, so.
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
Dissecting a starfish. I'm guessing I'm gonna be visiting and going through every single one of these rooms.
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
Wait, so Molly had all this stuff. I'm trying to figure out the logic here.
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Oh no. Ew, don't eat
The
gerbil
gerbil
food.
food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Ugh. Ugh. She ate gerbil food. Thought about eating the fish? Something wrong with his family. Oh god, don't eat those.
I ate a lot of things that night.
And that's why she's dead.
I kept eating and eating.
Ugh. This is... Oh god.
Then I heard chirping outside my window.
Oh god.
It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
Uh-oh.
And suddenly, I was a cat. I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
She's hallucinating. She ate those fucking berries. But yeah, if I was looking at this on sale on GOG. I'm thinking of buying it, but then I saw it was on the PSN for free for me, so you know, why not give it a shot, see if I like it. And if I end up liking it enough, I'll give it a purchase. It's like $4.99.
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
The garage is still in the middle of process of being built.
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Harder than it looks to catch a rabbit, I guess.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons.
Ew.
I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
The cat. She's hallucinating hardcore here. She ate fucking gerbil food, and then she ate berries off a... I don't think
A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
What the fuck? I'm just the right amount of tired, of sleepy to deal with this.
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
This little girl's got...
Grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Snake now, huh? Or... what the hell is going on here?
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Uh-oh, I'm gonna eat this
I
guy.
was big, but I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't. Passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
house.
I got closer and closer. All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
That's weird.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
The cat?
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Grandma had a...
I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time.
Alright. I'll be back. I gotta take a quick bathroom break. Grandma seems to be a little bit crazy. In probably a good way.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Seems that Edie was at least a woman of a great imagination. And lots of children.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace. There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
One's a more military themed kid, and one's a space themed kid, huh? They blocked off room.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him.
He must have been her grandpa. Edith is her great grandma. That makes more sense. And oh, my grandma was 90 in her 90s when she passed. I mean, it's this place is insane. This is like a Resident Evil mansion. Have expect zombies to start popping up. I'm gonna see what's. If there's anything else I missed.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't.
I'm kicking. I want to kick with both legs. Okay.
I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready!
Grandma Edie.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
Oh no!
I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Oh no.
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up.
Well, this is gonna end horribly.
Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind.
Why would you build that?
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Why would you build a,
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
And he died. Why would you build a ladder, build a swing set over a cliff?
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
I'm guessing Dawn is her mother. Walter would be her uncle. Sam would be the oldest son. Okay, that's weird. This family is very unusual.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Who's Calvin? Like a baby that only lived a year, so they only memorialize him with. Make sure I don't miss anything here. Why are these people so prone to death? feel like that shark should mean something. Okay.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
I'm going in the barber's room next. She was 26, so she'd be her. Would have been a great aunt. Her aunt. Like, who's Gregory? No, it's Gregory. Why are we at Gregory for 1 year? She died just before they. She died at 16, not 26. It's before him. Like Milton been all over the place.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Ew.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform
they have
her
cons in the
signature
1960s?
scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Smoked.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was canceled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
No.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Why would she have left the key?
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
How did they hear about this?
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the Late Late Picture Show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
No.
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Oh.
Barbara turned, saw the Hookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And young he was. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges
How do
groaned.
you...
she sensed the story might not be over yet.
She killed, like, Walter, didn't she?
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Ain't a whole lot of places to go in this house. Pretty crowded.
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Ugh.
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Remember her brothers? She had two. Oh, God.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending. I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
I mean, Calvin and Sam would have been 10. And Walter was what?
It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
Was Walter still alive? This is the library. What an odd house. Go to the basement in a minute. Be right back. Lasted just long enough for you guys to hear the whole song, so see what's down here. Uncle Sam Sven's Dungeon of Doom. You've never down here before, probably.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
This place looks like a place you get tetanus shots. Or you'd end up getting a tetanus shot for. Grandma liked the 7 dwarfs.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
You need a flashlight. Can't see a damn thing.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
Oh. This is an odd place. How do you build this kind of shit?
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
It's a bomb shelter.
If there's a pattern in all these stories,
Grandma
I think
Edie.
it's that none of us has gotten very far.
I feel like Grandma Edie's a bit of a psychopath. Maybe? Walter lived down here? For a 53-year-old, he looks a lot older than he actually is.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years.
He's lived here for 30 years?
On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week.
He became a...
But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today.
Ugh.
I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything.
There is
Even
something.
a monster on the other side of a door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly.
What are these, peaches?
And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid.
He lived down here for lived down here for 50 years by himself?
It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years.
30 years?
I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
Okay, obviously I can't go past this way. Oh. This family is entirely insane. They've been living down here since 1975.
I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin.
Ew.
Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it.
You're the train.
I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one more day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
This whole family's fucked up, man. What the hell?
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
He spent 30 years living down here in this basement, or in this bomb shelter, scared of the trains that were coming on from underneath his house. Oh, Jesus, what the fucking... This is fucked up shit here. This is horror. This is what Gone Home thought it was gonna be, a horror. This feels more like a horror movie without, you know, necessarily the horror, all the horror.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive.
Why was he living down there?
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2.
He had no idea that it was just a train.
If
The
only
train
it
was
time I
late,
heard
so
the
he
stories for myself.
Decided to leave,
out what
and then
happened
he
to
got hit by a
everyone else.
train. The train. Holy fucking
But
shit.
now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
This whole family's... one fucked up. Why was there a train going across over a cliff like that? Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of.
This is weird, fucked up shit here. I like it, but it's fucked up.
So to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Yeah, I sure as fuck do. Who's she writing to?
I think the
Who am
people
I
in these
to
stories
her?
believed them, for what that's worth.
Who am I to her? That's my question. Who am I supposed to be? I'm not Edith Jr. here. She's writing this to somebody else, unless I'm the person she reading the book at the beginning. Makes sense.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Pet cemetery. Burpy, chirpy, burpy, derpy, derpy junior. Is that a cat or a cat? Are these the gerbils? Oh, could be. Hey, who names their fish Christopher? Oliver Rabbit, Shadow the Cat. Pretty good name for a cat. Bob the dog, Shotzi. Another dog. Bailey, a big old dog. This is a unusual family. Yes. Derpy Jr. Unless they're cats, because no hamster, cats or dogs, no gerbils or anything would live this long. What?
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Books. She lived a life. I mean, she didn't succumb to it. It's like Sam and Sam Finch doesn't have a gravesite here. Are all buried under here?
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
That's the old house? The old Finch house?
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Interesting.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand.
Oh, there's the rest of the gravestones.
But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Wow. He died 2 days before I was born. About 2 years old. Didn't have anything. He was military, probably fought in Vietnam. Lived his life, Milton. He's an artist. Sanjay Kumar, who the hell is that?
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
Days, 11 days after my 28th. Kind of creepy, kind of wild when they have these birthdays. You can kind
We
of.
never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
I'm gonna find Milton's body, aren't I?
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
I'm gonna find Milton's corpse, aren't I? And it's gonna be horrible, and it's gonna end this game, even a bigger downer than it already is.
But looking back on it now,
I'd rather not know.
if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Oh. She's 17! Or 18 or so. Why am I pregnant here? Why is she pregnant here? I can't say I am, because that's weird. She's a teenager. On top of the garage. American flag. Still sitting up there. Like, it's 7 years later and all this stuff is still like, you know.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
I get a strong feeling that, I don't know.
They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Oh, this is Sam.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
33.
Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Shouldn't we be leaving?
Just want to get a shot of you, Dawn, then we can take off.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Smile, Dawn. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
What do they want me to take a picture of?
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hmm.
Hey!
That's a keeper. Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere. I bet if I could remember where that trail was, we'd spot a buck for you in no time. Give me a minute to check the map.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of it.
Dad, I...
Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
That was a little bit insensitive about not everybody's up running.
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just
Oh
focus on the
no!
camera. Try not to think about.
Dad!
Oh. Oh, God. Oh.
Of all the
God.
stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Oh my God. He died in a hunting accident. Seemed to be a fairly nice father, you know, good father, but a little careless on the
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
isn't it some weird shit? Who's her mom? Or her mom? Fuck, what am I saying? Who's his mom? Who's her mom? Who's her dad? What? All the way in Washington? And they got a boat all the way around the ocean to this spot before it sunk. That doesn't make any sense. This would be in have to be in like Maine or something like that to make more sense. You come from fucking Norway. I made her about 15 when he died, give or take. I haven't met Gus or Gregory yet. Kay would be her mom, her grandmother. Sven would be her grandfather. Ingeborg. Her great grandfather. Yeah, what an odd family. Wonder how Milton and... Well, I know Milton's dead somewhere. Lewis is dead. I'm not sure what. They haven't said yet. Who the fuck is Sanjay? This is just some crazy ass shit going on in this house. The thing I like about it's a very
After
extraordinary
Sam
linear
died,
game.
my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Uh-oh. The baby. I want to read that.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Oh, I'm
I
a
think he
baby.
saw things the rest of us don't.
I'll over, Gregory. It's time to...
Oh no.
Hold on, sweetie. I don't want Gregory to hear this.
Oh no.
I wish he could have told us.
Oh
About
no.
the world he saw.
No. Oh fuck no. He
There's so
drowned.
much
He drowned in the bathtub.
about Gregory. About everything.
Oh god, I hate
You know
this
what
game.
happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Holy fucking shit. Death just follows his family, huh? And they all lived up in this part of the house. A very military-ish barracks, I guess.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now
remember.
pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Oh god.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
Oh no, lightning. Knew it.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
Oh shit.
wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
This whole family's just something.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
This family is just unfortunate as hell.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
One of the Sanjay. Okay, Sanjay's her dad, so. Dad was a paranoid for sure. Cute. Kinda. And this family, there's something really sad about this whole family. Dad was a doomsday prepper. Feel like I'm missing something that in the bedroom, in the children's room there. This is a really legitimately intriguing game. See if I missed something up in her mom's loft. But this family just memorializes everyone. They just keep on building on top of memorial on top of memorials. It's kind of on the. It is kind of spooky, and it's. Didn't miss a hot spot or something, did I? There we go.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Lewis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again.
I'm guessing this is where
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
this is the how do they keep building this place and expect everything to keep stable? What the? You know, you just think you ought to just,
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last.
They were homeschooled. Who was her?
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
What you do is get a knife and starts. Unless you seal. Oh, whoa, they're all bolted in. Okay. Get a crowbar. Get a knife and start getting yourself into these places. This place is. Like, I would not want to live up there. That would scare the shit out of me. I just feel like I'm gonna find Milton, and it's gonna be horrible. Definitely an artist.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
have a flip book.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Jesus Christ.
Mom definitely.
And you're
blamed
pregnant,
me.
girl. Shouldn't
I
you?
think Lewis blamed himself.
Probably shouldn't be.
After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
I'm guessing Lewis is pretty good to her. She was little. He was 20. By the time he was born, he was 11 and died at 22. God damn. How do they build this stuff? Who builds this house? How are they contracted? How do they even get like permission to do so? Build this place. Of course, he's a drug using the hookah and shit.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Seemed bigger in the
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small. Imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty monotonous life, that's for damn sure.
And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on.
Suicide, didn't
I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first.
Oh, taking up so much of his mental state
He
that
told me
eventually
he'd
he's
made a
gonna.
new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians.
This again.
And songs for them to play.
This again.
He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something.
Oh.
Every day his imagination
I was waiting for
grew
the
stronger.
build-up on this whole shit is starting to drive me crazy because it's still something horrible gonna
He
happen.
no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor.
He lost.
And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Oh God, taking up so much of his.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a
Yeah, let's go the gay route.
beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for
This works for me. I mean, whatever.
radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of his
Electric sitar.
electric sitar. His His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
I guess then he committed suicide.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
Oh God, so he dies.
The palace would be packed with his companions.
He wanders off into the...
including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His prince waited, holding his crown.
Oh God. He sticks his head. Oh God. He sticks his head in
There's
that.
only one thing left to do.
He sticks his head in that. In the chopping thing. Holy God.
Bend down his head.
Oh God.
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Oh God. A family of psychopaths.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Just say your uncle was really cool, you know, he's... But, holy shit, what a... Whoa, how did he end up here? Oh.
Lewis and I spend a lot of time playing games
The
together.
TurboGrafx
but he was
16?
surprisingly bad at them.
At least it
He
looks like a
died a lot.
TurboGrafx 16. Looks like the ugliest console ever made, so yeah. He got lost in playing video games too much. I don't know much about drug culture, but yeah.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie.
I guess that's how Edie does.
I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
Is this?
I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
How would you live in this place? This place is nuts. This whole house is insane.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
He must have died when she was very little.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now was to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Just getting up to your room would be a pain in the ass.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
Oh God! I found Milton's body. No, that happened a few years later.
For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here? It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go!
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is.
Oh God, I'm being born.
This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
She died in childbirth. Wow, that was something. I knew it was gonna be kind of a downer game, but wow. Like the most tragic family in the world. You know, you got all sorts of ways to die in this family. And the only one who lived to old age was Edie. And Don lived pretty long, but wow. That was definitely. That's why you do a good walking sim. You have a compelling story. You just don't have you wandering around hoping you hit the right thing. It just kind of works. You know, works itself for you. It's a very sad story. Lots of just outright tragedy and people. I feel I missed Edie's thing, but maybe not. was definitely something. Very interesting experience, definitely for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, so on that note, I'm tired, exhausted. I probably need to go to bed. Yeah. But on the newly Retro Mage, this was what happened to Edith Finch. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time. Good night. Good day.